I get hated on so much for calling these dreadlocks. But there's a scientifically proven reason why I call them dreadlocks. There are many different cultures in this world that actually wear dreadlocks. Some of them call them dreadlocks, others call them locks, and really the list goes on and on. I feel like the two biggest are dreadlocks and locks. But why is it so frowned upon to actually call them dreadlocks? Some say that the term dreadlocks comes from a reverence or an honor. So the people that wore dreadlocks in this culture were looked up to because they were labeled as dreadful or fearful, also translated as honorable. And there is another group of people that say that the word dreadlocks came in as a bad thing and then they started using it as a good thing for themselves. Just so you guys can see what I'm seeing, I wanted to read some of these comments that I've received. Just so you know, my hair is pulled up right there. They're called locks. They spelled there incorrectly. It's called locks, not dreads. Sir, please stop calling them dreadlocks and just call them locks. Dread is a derogatory term. Now, as time progressed, dread has become more of a derogatory term. But that same word dread is just the same as the word fear, which a lot of people think of fear as someone being scared or afraid, when the original word fear actually means to honor someone. Locks. It's like y'all purposely do it, bruh. We are not dreadful. And in none of my videos, I've never called anybody dreadful. They're not dreadlocks, my brother. Call them locks. So knowledgeable about locks, but not about why they shouldn't be called dreadlocks. Y'all stop calling them dreads, please. Now, with getting these comments, I'm super knowledgeable on why people prefer the word locks. And I'm sure it's obvious that I'm not as knowledgeable as a lot of other people out there. Like Chris McDread, I think, is the most knowledgeable dreadlock YouTuber. So listen to what he says.
Today, I'm gonna be talking about the very many terms used to define this hair. So first term is dreadlocks, as old as it can be called. They're called jata in Hindu. They're called locks by a lot of African Americans, nati by a lot of West Caribbean and African people. They're called rasta. So why would we have so many names? I have been able to maintain probably around 70 different kind of nationalities who have the same hair, and we all unanimously use the term dreadlocks. Interesting enough, apart from African Americans. African Americans prefer to call them locks. I have absolutely no problem with that, but I have a problem with you not wanting me to call it what I want to call it. I want to call it dreadlocks.
They're not dreadlocks, they're locks. Are you dreaded about your look? I'm just saying. Locks, not dreads. Nothing dread about them. Colonial terms. Dread. Can you stop calling them dreadlocks? The term dreadlocks has a negative connotation attached to it, which is why people who are aware of the history behind the term prefer to use the word locks. If you're going to borrow from another culture, at least do it respectfully. So now we're looking at borrowing from another culture. I really don't want to get into culture appropriation right now, but I will give you an example. Let's take hair, for instance. I've seen people from one culture get mad at people in another culture about their hair. For example, people from an American culture being judged by people from an African culture because they have dreadlocks. So let's take dreadlocks in general. Dreadlocks are simply made by matting up hair so that it locks together into forms of strands. And of course, it's easier for people with a tighter curl pattern to get dreadlocks because it locks up easier and more naturally versus someone with straight hair. But what blows my mind is there's white people out there that have a tighter curl pattern than myself and get locks. But let's get back to these comments. It's called locks, not dreadlocks. They're not called dreads. That was a slur used by oppressing white people. They are called locks. It's the disrespect that people keep saying dreads. Why do you call locks dreadlocks? That's not the right term from Africa, my guy. Calling locks dreadlocks is actually offensive. Let's talk about offense. That word alone, offense, comes from the word scandalon. And a scandalon is a plate that goes on a bear trap or any type of animal trap that is pretty much the trigger. So if you noticed a bear trap, there's a plate on the bottom where you put the bait, and then once they step on that plate or the scandalon, that's what causes that to close. So that word offense itself is within the trap. So in other words, it's actually the person being offended who doesn't understand who they truly are. But I will just get back to reading these comments. Locks or locks or locks. They're not dread. Historically, the explorers called the look dreadful or dreadlocks, which has a negative connotation. Our locks are beautiful. And yes, I agree with you, locks are beautiful. Not dreadlocks, just locks. The modern understanding of dreadlocks is that the British, who are fighting Kenyan warriors, came across the warriors' locks and found them dreadful, thus coining the term dreadlocks. Personally, I refer to my hair as locks, having dropped dread altogether given its negative connotation, and beautifying our culture and people. There's nothing dreadful about our hair. And I agree with you, there is nothing dreadful about our hair. And that is all of the comments I want to read today. There's literally hundreds, if not thousands. So you can see why I get so many comments on why I should stop saying dreadlocks. But I shouldn't have to, and here's why. When looking up dreadlock tutorials or dreadlock content, If you look up the word locks, it automatically directs you to dreadlocks. If you go to Google right now and type in locks, even if you put locks definition, it's going to revert back to dreadlocks. Now, whether this is socially or culturally accepted, it's still scientifically proven if you use the term dreadlocks, you're going to reach more people. Take this story for instance. Dr. Leaf was an instructor at Harvard University this year, and he had to take his classes to online. All of his courses were titled Calculations 101, 201, and then 301, and so on and so forth. Now here's the problem. Students that seen his class didn't want to take it because they didn't know what all calculations entailed. So he changed all of his class titles to Mathematics 101, Mathematics 201, and so on and so forth, and his classes were full of students. Now what he was teaching stayed the same, but what he titled the course was completely different. So if I'm going to teach something, I wanted all my classes to get out there. With all of my videos, I give you guys tips and tricks on how to do your dreadlocks the best way possible and get them exactly the way that you want them to. So if I'm constantly putting a title out there that doesn't get a whole lot of attention, there's not going to be enough students that are learning what they want to learn. So whether it's culturally or socially accepted, it doesn't matter because people are still coming to learn what they want to learn. So dreadlocks and locks is kind of semantics. And if a simple term trips you up, then you just have to reevaluate what really matters to you. Something as small as dreadlocks versus locks brings division. Publilius Cyrus said, "Where there is unity, there is always victory." So many people are living unsuccessful lives because they are dividing themselves with the smallest problems. Now, on a lighter note, I found out that some of my hair is actually starting to Congo up, so I'm going to do some separation right now. The Congo I felt was back here, so it's right here. I'm sure there's plenty more. It's Congoed at the root. I'm just going to pop it, separate it. All I do is I pull it down to the scalp like this, and then I just pull directly across. All right, here we go. It wasn't that combined. But these on the back tend to want to combine down at the root because that's where I lay down. And over time, they just want to combine. And my job is just to continue to separate. And this has just been a daily process of if I feel any locks combining, I just separate them. Now it's definitely coming up on time for me to actually do a retwist. And like I said before, I'm super intimidated because I have so many locks. I also need to count all of my dreadlocks as well. With me needing a retwist, I'm really glad that the DREADLOCKS locking gel is back in stock. It was barely made live on DREADLOCKS.com today. So if you want to be one of the first ones to have the DREADLOCKS locking gel for this restock, make sure to order it now because we're about to publicly release it very soon. So right now we have all of our products back in stock, and we do have a new bundle coming out very soon, so stay tuned for that. Hey, I'm Gunther the Great, and I'm going to teach you how to get instant dreadlocks. Am I teaching them or am I? And this is how you get instant dreadlocks. Can you do that sound effect? No,
No, don't do the sound effect actually.
Be more excited.
Okay.
Ready, set, go.
Hey, I'm Gunther the Great, and today I'm going to show you how to get instant dreadlocks. Oh my goodness. And just like that, now all you need is...
What do you need again? DREADLOCKS locking gel.
And just like that, now all you need is DREADLOCKS locking gel. Yeah, I got it.
You saying just like that.
Now all you
You're
need...
locked. Now all you need.
Ooh, I like that. And just like that, you're locked. Now all you need... I get that, Okay.
Go.
And just like that, now all you need...
Go.
And...
Go.
And now all you need, just like that...
Just like that. Locked. Great. Gel. Get it.
See you tomorrow. Alright,
Go.
and just like that...
Go.
And just like that, you're locked. Now all you need is locking gel from DREADLOCKS.
Go.
And just like that, you're locked. Now all you need is DREADLOCKS locking gel.
Woo! I'm ready. Set, go. Do it.
Be careful now.
You could have done that. I was like, you can do it anytime now. Okay, ready? Yeah, just like that. That's what it's gonna sound like. Go.
And
Where is that?